Hello. So this is an Apple AirTag and this isn't. This costs £35 or $30. This costs £10 or $10 usually. So it's cheaper. Look at the quality of information you get here. This also isn't quite as good, and that is important. Yet this is now the one I would buy. I have bought. Hello, I'm William Gallagher and this is 58 Keys, which as ever, as always, is for writers like you and me who use and write on Macs and iPhones and iPads, and we carry them around and we lose them and we have to track them down with AirTags or this, yeah. Do subscribe or support 58 Keys on Patreon because, well, there's so much to talk about with, I need you to bear with me on this one, making sure that you know how AirTags work because it matters. And it matters enough that while, as I say, I'll now buy this, it's called a UGreen FineTracker, I wouldn't buy, for instance, any trackers made by Tile. Personal preference, but there you go. And it also matters because it is why UGreen is slightly less useful than Apple's AirTag. There is a difference. It's just that it's a difference that probably won't matter to you. Okay, so in a moment, right, I'm going to be driving to Coventry here in the UK. You don't need to know this, but I seem to want to tell you. I'm assisting in a young writer's workshop. And I think the thing is, I'm not very familiar with the area. So I've popped an AirTag and a UGreen FineTracker in the car, which will be helpful when I try to come back to find the car. It doesn't help me getting there, but, you know, I will use them both to help me find my way back after the workshop. Fine. Only, forgive me for this, I first want to tell you how AirTags work, which, I mean, if you already know it, then this is patronizing of me, isn't it? And actually, if you don't happen to know how it works, you quite possibly do not care. And you certainly don't have to most of the time. You certainly don't need to know in order to use them. But it helps in this case. I mean, specifically, it helps here with why you can buy a UGreen FineTracker, what the only difference is between those and Apple's own AirTags, and actually, I suppose, along the way, it's completely separate. Another reason why I won't buy Tile, or probably the rest. I'll do it quickly. This is how AirTags work, or how they work when your AirTag is far away from you, right? They sit here in your car, your luggage, your wherever, whatever. When someone, anyone who has an iPhone walks by where that AirTag is, their iPhone spots the AirTag little signal, and I was going to say, I suppose it tells Apple, really. Not that I imagine there's anybody at Apple going, oh, it's there, you know, but that stranger's iPhone has relayed where your AirTag is. Now that stranger, that iPhone user, doesn't know this. There is nothing they have to do to make it work. There's actually nothing they can even do to make the iPhone show them that it has happened, that it's going on all the time. I mean, I suppose you could turn on airplane mode and shut out the world, possibly, but the thing is, it doesn't affect them. It doesn't perceptibly eat into their battery life, and anyway, they benefit too, you know, from your iPhone when you walk by one of their AirTags. Okay, every iPhone, at least modern ones, do this, and they do it all the time. If you are in an area where there are a lot of iPhone users who happen to go by, they all pick up your AirTag signal and they all report its location, so that when you or I pop open Find My on our iPhones, we can see the very latest, maybe up to the second record, up to the minute maybe, of where your AirTag is. Every tracker, as far as I know, does this in the same way, but all of them have their own systems and their own networks. Apple has every iPhone in the world, or at least every modern iPhone. I don't know where the line is. Tile has every iPhone or Android device that has the Tile software installed. So like immediately, instantly, you know, this means there are more iPhones that will detect AirTags than there are ones that have the Tile software app and that will detect Tiles. I mean, I don't happen to like Tile as a company, but I also won't bother buying their trackers because, well, I've already got AirTags. They are clearly more likely to be able to help me find my iPhone, find my bits and pieces, yeah, which is a thing. There is a thing about the thing though, and this might just be here in England, it might be a little peculiar to where I am. There have been times when there haven't been enough iPhones passing by for Find My to get a decent location fix. It says like last seen 5 hours ago, or something. I've had it in car parks, which might be to do with, I suppose people park their cars and then go away, so for periods of time there's nobody, I don't know. It's also here, it's been especially problematic for me in underground car parks, where the lack of iPhones, but also the lack of signal. Yeah, it's been difficult. Just, if there aren't enough iPhones for AirTags, okay, well, there surely aren't enough for Tile. Do let me say, actually, I feel like I'm criticising. Let me say here, AirTags work brilliant for me most of the time. Like in Switzerland, they led me to the right luggage conveyor belt in the airport. In Japan, they reassured me that my luggage was where it was supposed to be. It was on its way coming to me. Just great. It's just, there are times when they aren't precise enough because there aren't enough people around with iPhones. I mean, the list of good things goes on, and the list of problems, that's it. Just sometimes not enough people. The scale Apple brings to all of this that Tile can't means I see no reason to buy Tile. And I would have said actually that I see no reason to buy anything but AirTags. But then there's this UGreen FineTracker. It does not have its own network. It does not require iPhone users to install some UGreen app and hope enough other people have done the same. Instead, UGreen's FineTracker uses the same system as Apple's AirTag. It uses Apple's Find My. Find My is already on your iPhone. UGreen's FineTracker it is an AirTag under any other name, but at a price that's about a third as much as Apple's, which has to make you wonder. You've got to be pausing at this point and thinking, so what is it about them that isn't as good as Apple's? The difference is, UGreen FineTrackers, right? Actually, despite the name FineTracker, they can't track quite as finely as AirTags. They do not include an ultra-wideband processor or support for it. AirTags do, and if your iPhone also supports ultra-wideband, it can zero in on an AirTag noticeably more precisely. All iPhones since the iPhone 11 in 2019 have supported ultra-wideband, except the current iPhone 16e, that hasn't got it, which was a surprise, and the previous iPhone SE models. It is a definite disadvantage to the UGreen tracker. It is a definite advantage to Apple's AirTag. I don't want you to have the impression that these are the only options. I mean, Tile, AirTags, and now UGreen's FineTracker, even though for ages I thought they were, but there we go. There's also the, I think you pronounce it CHIPOLO, which, I mean, like Green's one, uses Apple's Find My. I should really try CHIPOLO, but I haven't so far. Right now, as I record this, prices for CHIPOLO are more expensive than the UGreen ones, although less expensive than AirTags. I mean, there are different sorts of CHIPOLO, but I think the closest match to AirTags and UGreen, this kind of size thing that you put in somewhere, it's the CHIPOLO Pop, which costs £30 here in the UK or $29 in the US. But then the thing is, I know one reason for telling you this is that this is so much cheaper, but the prices of all of them, they keep changing. I mean, for example, I think UGreen actually retails for $15, but it always seems to be sold for around 10. That's what I paid for a couple of them. And actually, I'll tell you, if we're solely counting pennies, both UGreen and CHIPOLO have another advantage. With an AirTag, you really need to buy some kind of holder. Excuse me, there's a little case to put it in. You can just chuck an air. You can just chuck an AirTag in your bag, but you need a holder if you want to attach something, and you can kind of see a problem there, can't you? This did not go in there. You don't need to do that kind of holder thing with CHIPOLO or AirTag because they can be attached to anything. They have this little hole there. Actually, in UGreen's case, I don't know about CHIPOLO, but in UGreen's case, this keyring size gap is also where you opened up to replace the battery. Like AirTags, it comes with a battery, and actually it's the same type of battery. But the UGreen, the company, claims that the battery in this little thing will last around 2 years, where Apple says about 1 year for its AirTags. Now, I know with AirTags, Apple's underestimating. You do get quite a bit longer, but it's still safest to assume it's a year. And it's also safest to set yourself a reminder to change it. Because I don't know yet about UGreen, I've only just started using it, but I do know that Apple removed the battery indicator that it used to have You would go into the Find My app, you check the device with the AirTag, and it would have a little battery indicator, and it's gone. I presume that's because it wasn't accurate enough, but it would have been good if instead of, you know, just taking it away and leaving us blind, Apple had made it more accurate. Okay. AirTags do now give you a warning right there in Find Me when their battery is low, but you don't have a sense of what low actually means, how long it's lasting, how long you've got left before it stops working completely. You just don't go on holiday without being sure your battery is going to last the distance. So you get it, don't you? You get the advantages of UGreen over AirTags, you get the disadvantage. We're done. Really, that is actually all I've got for you about AirTag replacements. Unless you're a little wary of buying from a firm that you may not have heard of before. And you should be wary. I mean, in general, there are so many poor devices out there. I mean, even forgetting counterfeits, just every type of device, thousands of different companies doing all these things. It is easier and it is safer to stick with brands, you know, I mean, Apple for one, Anker for battery chargers, for example. UGreen may not be on your list of known brands, but I could be just projecting there because it happens. I hadn't heard of them until reasonably recently, but consider them safe, add them. Something like a year ago or so, I read a review of a UGreen charger, chanced it, I don't know why I chanced it, relished it, actually, somehow lost it, still grumble about that, but I replaced it, actually, with this, another UGreen charger, look at that, and it let me charge a couple of devices at once, and also do so much more quickly than through Apple's own provided chargers. Now, I don't usually care about quick charging. I mean, as long as the iPhone's charged by the time you get up, what do you care that it took 6 hours instead of 8? But as it happens, when I got this, I was doing this thing somewhere, and I had to be somewhere where fast charging was actually a real help, and so was the two things you could charge at once. This was one of those things that you like something so much that you look for what else the firm has done. I was then, and actually I still am, very pleased with this. This is a mains powered unit which charges up my iPhone every night. Disappointed with this. This is like a portable version of the same thing. It just, for some reason, it didn't seem to charge up the devices as much as I expected it to. But then I bought this, which is a new charger, also from UGreen, and this goes with me everywhere. It is heavy, but that actually helps me not lose it, and it's great for charging up lots of things for a long time. And so there's also now the UGreen FineTracker, so I appear to have gone from never having heard of them to basically going all in on UGreen in the last year or so, and I tell you, I'm all right with that. And it's the UGreen FineTracker that I will keep on buying, unless Apple comes out with the rumoured AirTag 2, the sequel. Yeah. That's it for this edition of 58 Keys. Thank you very much for watching. Now take care of yourself, write more, and I'll see you soon.